Good morning, everyone. Here's a question for you. Is the everything bubble about to pop? We've seen so many headlines recently in relation to the markets going to higher highs than they ever have before, particularly the property market and now the stock market and the cryptocurrency markets all seem to be achieving higher highs. And the danger is in these sorts of scenarios, as we saw with I think it's the tulip mania craze many years ago, is that people constantly now chase these higher highs. And the retail investors are getting into the market at a time when they feel like they're being left behind. But the institutional investors are starting to sell out of some of their positions in the stock market. And the danger is that when those trends reverse and the market starts coming down, it very, very quickly pulls back. And so my concern is for many people, particularly with the property market, is that we are entering a situation, particularly in the British Isles, where the market seems to be now grinding to a halt, particularly in relation to the speculation over what's coming in the budget in November. We have a lot of uncertainty in relation to what's going to happen with stamp duty, what's going to happen with property values. Buyers are now sitting on their hands. Prices have reached unaffordable levels. Interest rates, of course, have crept up significantly over the course of the last couple of years. And that has meant that whilst they aren't at the unprecedented rates that they were in the past, which is sort of 18% or more, the impact is that the level of debt needed to acquire a property is now significantly higher than it was in the past. And so it's not necessarily the interest rate that's holding people back, it's the quantity of debt that's required. And then you have general job uncertainty in the marketplace and in the economy at the moment as well, which is causing people many headaches and problems. So I would not be surprised if we haven't got another 2008 scenario about to unfold in the background. Now, what was interesting is that if you look at the size of some of the banks that collapsed in 2008, you'll notice that they were there was quite a significant concentration of bigger banks that failed. But apparently in the last couple of years, we've had two massive banks that have failed recently that dwarf the size of the smaller banks previously. And that is causing some concerns as to whether or not there are looming bank failures that are about to unfold, and they're being kept quiet and hidden from the media. So I would not be surprised if we haven't got, over the course of the next few months, some very challenging times ahead. And again, if you look over the pond at the American market, you can start to see that it's more affordable now to rent than to buy, and that house builders, house developers have got more inventory on their books than ever before. And this apparently, over the course of the last 6 times that this has happened in history, it has always led to a recession. And so the likelihood is that this will happen, that there'll be a recession starting in America that will send shockwaves across the Western world. And so my concern is that we are about to enter quite challenging times, and I don't believe many people are prepared for it. So if you're in the property market as a property professional, or as a home buyer or seller looking to sell, what do you need to do? Well, let's look at the property professionals first of all. If I were in your shoes, I'd be looking very seriously at my overhead. I'd be looking at where am I spending the most money in my business? Okay, and I'd be looking to cut costs as much as possible. And there are various cost-saving measures that you can take on board that aren't going to impact your business very much. And you've got to get those costs down as quickly as possible, because if this plays out, it's likely to be a long-term thing, right? Second thing you need to look at is, are the properties that you're selling for your clients competitively priced in the marketplace? And the honest answer is to that, for most agents, that will be a no. It'll be a negative, that they need to adjust the prices of those properties in order to generate sufficient interest and get buyers in through the door. Because the challenge is that when the market stagnates, what will happen is that there's more choice available, and this applies for buyers and sellers now, is that when the market stagnates, there will be more properties that start to come to the market where people want to buy them. Where people need to sell them, but there are less buyers about to be able to buy them. Okay, and then what happens is you end up with a glut of properties on the market. They're all overpriced because buyers aren't willing to pay that now because they've got so much choice. So what tends to happen is that, let's say you've got 20 properties on the market, they're all on the market at £500,000. But buyers are going, well, I've got a choice of, you know, 20, 20 properties here. I can buy at a lot less price. And so what will happen is that somebody will buy a property at 450,000 because that seller really needs to sell. And therefore, what then happens, and this happened to me in 2008, 2009, 2010, is that that price, as far as the surveyor's concerned, as a bank valuing surveyor, that then becomes the target price for properties of a similar ilk in that same area, right? So you end up in a situation where those that market price is no longer 500,000; it then becomes 450, and then you end up with this slow collapse of house prices over time, which undermines the market. So those sellers that are sitting on their home thinking, "Oh, I'm in no rush to sell; it doesn't really matter." Well, you might be sat there for, you know, potentially a year, 2 years, or 3 years, and people think that won't happen. I can tell you that I've worked in the property market where, you know, when I entered the market as an estate agent in the late 90s, 1990s, there were times we had properties on the market for 2 or 3 years that hadn't sold, that, you know, now would seem like an absolute bargain, but at that time people just weren't buying them. Okay, so I think we're entering very interesting times. Um, Price is an interesting thing, and many people don't want to be seen to be giving their property away. But if you're facing a situation where you feel that you need to sell, and you need to sell within the next 6 months, bearing in mind your conveyancing process is now taking at least 4 months, it's probably going to find you it's probably going to take you 3 to 6 months to find a buyer. My view is you've got to cut price, and cut price quickly, in order to attract interest, because that will make your property look appealing as far as everything else on the market is concerned, and then be able to find a buyer at the right price, sell it, and get it through the conveyancing process as quickly as possible. And if I can help you with any of that, it'd be my pleasure to do so. So drop a comment below, and I'll be happy to sort of explore some options with you. We can help you fast track the sale through the conveyancing process, so that you can exit cleanly and without risk as soon as possible. All right, guys, that's my thoughts for today. I will see you on another video very soon. Take care.